Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. And with the CDL finally kicking off once again tomorrow, a big discussion of the off-season has been how will Dashy fare this time around on OpTic Texas. After some additional concerns were raised after the kickoff, his teammates have been responding to said criticisms. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, and let's just dive straight on into things then. So yes, 2 days left, of course, of yesterday. As of today, it's only 1 day until the CDL begins. Just love to see it. This also from Breaking Point, just to mention, loads of people signed up to this yesterday. The deadline is, I'm pretty sure, tomorrow when the matches start to get your fantasy picks in. I thought these were quite some interesting statistics as well, actually, based on, highest pick percentages for the Kickoff Classic. So, of course, Prid and Sib at this event were very good value for money. Like, Shotzzy was up here at 28.4%. I guess Methods is also pretty good value for money as well. 28% of people had him in their team. This time around, I'm sure it's going to be somewhat different. But, I mean, still, Methods is good value for money, I think, at $4 or something. So, if you guys want to get involved, feel free to do so. This was Chrome's team. I thought he put this on the talent, so I thought I'd just chuck it up there, just so you guys can kind of compare this one to my team of what I have. Dashy, Simp, Capsidol, and Dav Paddy. That's who I went for, actually. So, yeah, he's got Methods in there. He's got Dashy in there, Pred and Nasty. Pretty good team, I think, all things considered. There's so many good teams you could put together. If you want to get involved, there's some prizes on offer. But, it's just a good time all around. And you can actually see your team and post it on the timeline, all that type of good stuff. The link will be in the pinned comment once again below. This also from the CDL. They're bringing the pick'ems back in business again. So, yes, cash prizes, I think they've got up for grabs once again. So, cool little website they've got going on here. Loads of stuff to get excited for, with the season beginning in not too far over 24 hours time at this point. This also, to mention, as Chrome points out, made some changes and added Pentagram, Harry and Spart. So of course new substitutes coming into league. Pentagram over the Los Angeles Thieves side, Harry for London, Spart for Los Angeles Guerrillas. So Chrome's trying to keep track of what settings the pro players are using, what controllers they're using as well. Most of the pros are on Battle Beavers, some of them are on Scuffs. Pentagram's actually on a PS5 controller. That's kind of interesting, but still, if you guys want to check this out, I guess I'll leave a link down below for you guys as well. This also from Tim the Tapman, right? Because to me there has been some questions whether there's going to be team camos in the game when the season actually launches. Of course, it's starting tomorrow, so we imagine not. Last year, I believe, maybe it was season 2 or something, launched a bit earlier last year, because this time it's launching on February the 14th on Valentine's Day. And they were meant to be releasing it pretty much now, but it got delayed by a couple of weeks for whatever reason. And still, I imagine we were thinking that, okay, maybe League Play will come with season 2, or maybe also they'll actually bring the team skins and the CDL camos with the game, because that was kind of a cool thing about last year. Yes, the CDL camos were very generic. They didn't have anything particularly spectacular in the game, but they still were pretty good, and they also had that feature where you could see them on the broadcast, right? So you could see the FaZe guys wearing the FaZe stuff, the OpTic guys wearing the OpTic stuff on the actual broadcast itself, because they could overlay that somehow. It was pretty cool, and still, I imagine they're going to try and do something similar this time around as well. They did it in Modern Warfare, but still, if they aren't in the game, you can't use them. So, of course, the other question is, could we ever see actual, people in the game itself? Because we've seen, like, Ninja and Dr. Disrespect, they've got their, someone that resembling them in other games. We've seen before in Call of Duty, like, why isn't Scump in there? And Call of Duty even respond to this one, so who knows? Maybe it's on their radar, putting actual, influencers and streamers and this type of stuff in their game, and maybe we can get a Call of Duty Pro in there sooner rather than later. That would be interesting. OpTic are also getting ready, of course, for the season. I believe their first match is against London, and then they play Minnesota, I think, on Sunday this week. But this I thought was actually really cool what they put up here. So they've got a setup for all the pro players. They're going to be sitting back here. Of course, we are once again in an online arena for these major qualification matches. Thankfully, obviously, they mean a fair bit, right? And it's going to be interesting to see how the teams perform. But, it doesn't mean all that much in the grand scheme of things when every team qualifies anyway for the majors and there's no buys really in the winners bracket. Of course, you don't want to be in losers, but as long as you're in winners, you're within a decent chance of getting it done anyway. So they're obviously important, good to get the practice and the reps in, but still, it doesn't matter if you lose. You can go 3-2, not really the end of the world. You're probably going to qualify, apart from the fact that you're probably going to play a team that went 5-0, which, could be one of the real top dogs. So this is the setup that the OpTic guys are going for here with the Hex Cortez. There's also this, which is like the coach's corner, effectively, where Rambo's going to be sitting, I guess, Rambo and Sender, just seeing the action. Thought this is really cool, kind of a similar setup to what I saw at the Valorant Champions, but actually being done in their own facility. So it may well be better than what a lot of the other teams have been capable of putting together, and could help these guys to some degree, at least get in that kind of tournament environment, really, when you're actually still playing in your kind of home environment, I guess, where they practice from time to time as well. And this from Sean Collins, right? So an esports reporter for the Dallas News, he does a lot of stuff, last year to do with the Dallas Empire. This year, of course, it's OpTic Texas, right? And of course, there's been a lot of talk about Dashy going into this season. Really, there's two criticisms that have been leveled at Dashy. One of them is kind of the work ethic thing, which supposedly has kind of been dealt with to some degree. We saw Rambo Illy, the other guys, talking about that it's not really a thing anymore, that he turns up later. I'm seeing, like, in vlogs and stuff, Hex's vlogs, he's been turning up to the office, like, the Hex quarters are like 8 a.m, getting on plagues and pubs, getting ready to go. So, he's not late to scrims or anything along those lines. Now, of course, whether that maintain itself, that's another question, but that was certainly an accusation leveled, especially during Modern Warfare, right, on OpTic Gaming Los Angeles, that, the motivation, the drive wasn't necessarily there. And yes, Dashy's a phenomenal player. We know how talented he is. That doesn't need to be said again, but still, I mean, that performance he had at CWL Las Vegas back in 2018, December 2018, the start of Black Ops 4, winning the event, becoming the MVP, it really felt like at that point he was going to win many more MVPs, many more championships. Since then, he hasn't won anything, right, and that's kind of been the question. Yes, this guy's incredibly talented, but, that talent hasn't actually translated into results. And this year, he really has the teammates to pull it off. So, that's where questions start to be raised if the results don't arrive. And of course, at the kickoff, the results didn't arrive in that they lost that series to LA Thieves, despite the fact that Dashy had like a 1.3. So that's kind of the other question, right? Is okay, is Dashy just playing for kills? Is that what he's meant to do? These are all the questions that arise. And then, of course, the fans maybe don't understand as much as the pro players understand. And well, that's why the OpTic guys have kind of come out here in this article and defended him to some degree. Of course, if people think that Dashy just plays for kills and doesn't really care about the victory, I'm sure the OpTic guys' opinion isn't necessarily going to change that, right? But it is interesting to see what they say regardless, because as Lussier says that, of course, being the coach in Rambo, he's amazing. He's probably pound for pound one of the most skilled individuals I've ever had on my team, period. Now, I thought this is just a funny way to say it, right? Pound for pound. I guess this originates from fighting or something, but it makes it sound in a way that okay, well, Dashy, pound for pound, he's the most talented, but maybe if Illy's got a bit more weight on him and he's maybe slightly more talented, but pound for pound, Dashy's the best value for money. I don't know, I just thought it was funny the way that was said, but he's super positive for us. At first, there were stories about how he was as a person, right? Is he going to be turning up on time? All these kind of attitude questions that were raised effectively by Envoy, right, really, when he got dropped from the team, that Envoy was talking about the attitude problems that team had, and it wasn't necessarily just Dashy at fault for that, and Envoy said he was kind of at fault for it as well. It was maybe more of a culture thing than any one individual, and as he says, everyone has their downfalls, but he's a really good teammate for the guys, and that's kind of the thing that a lot of people say, is that, Dashy gets on so well with these guys, the vibes are fantastic. Of course, vibes are one thing, but if that's going to detract at all from being on the grind 24/7, then that obviously is something to consider. But Hotel brings the vibes to any roster he's on. It's of course subjected him to some criticism. Now, Illy also responds, that being Dallywall right here, that's his surname, Indivir Dallywall, I'm pretty sure, I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. I think they don't look in depth at the gameplay. He's a really good player and understands how to rotate and play situations. It's not all about gunning. He has the intangibles and rotates more than anyone on our team, I'd say. This I thought was quite interesting, right? Dashy's the guy rotating more than anyone else on the team. I guess in traditional Call of Duty, it is generally the AR player, the kind of anchor that would be doing a lot of the rotating. And generally it's Dashy's job to get some kills, but also to hold down the spawns. You'll kind of see the way it plays in this game that you really can't afford to go 4 dead and let yourself spawn out, because squad spawns are pretty strong. Therefore, if you have a guy alive in the back, you're just going to keep spawning there again and again and again. So it's important to have someone back there. And Illy reckons Dashy's actually the guy rotating more than anyone else on the team. I'm sure maybe the fans don't necessarily see it that way, but still an interesting discussion regardless. And as Rambo goes on to say, as a human being, I'm 10 years older than the kids. There's a lot of things I learned in my time. Sometimes you'll go down attitude-wise or feel a little blue about certain things when you're losing. I think I'll be able to help him grow on that end in a way I've done with other guys in the past. So definitely discussing some of the issues that Dashy can have in terms of motivation and maybe not always being 100% head in the game. And Rambo reckons he can help on that front as well. And I'll leave the entire article, of course, link for you guys down below, because there's plenty more than just this, frankly. But Dashy even responds to this kind of himself and says, look, sometimes I'll see comments about this, what people say about his playstyle, right, just playing for kills, but also maybe the attitude problems and this type of stuff that has been raised during the off-season. And no, these guys don't know anything about what's going on. That just comes with the territory of playing for OpTic. Of course, you're in the spotlight, you're going to get most of the criticism. If things don't go well, I don't really take anything to heart or let it get to me, but I'll see a comment to look at it sideways, right? So saying a lot of these fans don't really know what they're talking about, which, may well be true, right? We'll see how things work out this season. Of course, we know how ruthless the timeline could be in the Call of Duty world, especially if you're a player on the OpTic side. So, of course, with all that discussion and preparation going into the season, where Dashy's, finally got himself on this crazy stacked roster, right, with Shotzzy, Illy there, pretty much exactly the team they wanted. We even saw Scump talk about the fact that Crimsix might have been there in place of Dashy, but Illy and Shotzzy wanted Dashy instead of Crimsix, effectively. That's why the team is where it is today. And on paper, it's really good indeed, but, will that translate into reality? We, of course, saw them play Los Angeles Thieves, and this was the scoreboard, right? Dashy goes, we are 1.26, 88 and 70. The rest of the team get relatively well outslayed. Scump obviously had a bad series. They lose the series. It's only one series, but still a lot of people immediately looked at this and said, okay, Dashy's at it again, right? He's, dropping good numbers, but the results aren't necessarily there. So we'll see if this is a consistent trend this year, because Dashy's there to drop good numbers. That's what he's there to do, and he's great at doing it. Now, it's not always going to translate into wins, but if it does more often than not, then probably OpTic are on the right track here, or they have to maybe change how they do their roles to make that work a little bit better. But I thought it was interesting regardless. This also I wanted to mention for you guys, because, well, Drazah to have done their CDL power rankings just before the season begins, and this is what they've gone with, and I think, frankly, this is quite surprising. I think, to be honest, OpTic feel too low to me. Like, yes, they lost that one series to LA Thieves, so maybe you have to put them behind them, but I'm putting OpTic down in 6th, just because, FaZe, of course, lost their first series as well to Seattle Surge. Of course, Seattle did go on to make the grand finals, but Thieves were very close to doing that as well, right, because they almost beat Toronto in that game 4, and, FaZe obviously is still here at 2nd, Toronto number 1. I think you can kind of go back and forth on Toronto being number 1. Some people might still well put FaZe number 1 anyway, just because, okay, yes, they lost that one series, but just the way they're looking in scrims, their previous year as well, it's difficult not to put FaZe in the top 2, I think, and then they've got Surge, Los Angeles, Thieves, New York, and then OpTic all the way down there in 6th, which, maybe they're just doing this for a little bit of reaction, to be honest, who knows? I feel like OpTic maybe deserve to be slightly higher than this, like 4th or 5th or something, but it's difficult to say, right? How much do you weigh the scrim results behind the scenes that we don't even really have all that much insight into compared to the actual, the one series that they played at the kickoff? It's a tough time. And then down here on the other side, I think honestly this might not be too bad. 7 through 12, Ravens in 11th, Paris in 12th. I hope this doesn't actually work out how it is this season with the European teams getting bodied again, but well, things can certainly all change. And just to finish off with a couple of things here from the wall. Firstly, the Toronto Ultra, Doug Martin was wearing some merch, as he says right here, and as he replies with, "Sign me and I'll tattoo your logo on my pec." So yeah, well, Doug's going to do it all to try and get himself back in the league, but I guess they already have a substitute right in Hixie, I'm pretty sure, for the upcoming season, so maybe they don't need his services, but well, it could be a different story. And well, here's a nice little clip from Doug as we finish off the job on Tuscan. But very much enjoyed your thoughts and all this stuff in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hit on that like button. Tell us the YouTube gods this is a good video. I just like you should see it as well, and help grow the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you for watching as always. Take care, and I will see you next time.
Top 5 going P5. Top 5. Another one P5, Tay. Tay, I'm here with you. Tay, I'm here with you.
I can pinch. I can pinch. I'm pinching their side.
I got 3.
I'm gonna spawn the roof. I'm gonna spawn the roof.
I hear you.